If you're like most people, you probably spend a significant amount of time on platforms like TikTok or Instagram. And while these platforms offer entertainment and help form meaningful connections, they also create a sense of overwhelm for many, as the flow of information is constant and fast.
I believe the children
I used to live here.
Recent studies show the average American spends roughly 6 hours per day consuming content. According to the New York Post, that amounts to about 36 days a year spent looking at screens. And for younger generations like Gen Z, that average rises to about 7 hours a day. So, what is capturing our attention and keeping us glued to our devices? According to a Pew Research Center study published in 2016, 6 in 10 Americans receive their daily news from social media platforms. So it seems likely that it's the news that's driving this engagement. News consumption has remained steady, but how we receive news has changed significantly over the past 25 years. Between 2000 and 2010, many Americans turned to the internet for news, though a majority still relied on television and cable. You might be asking, what is the key difference in how the news is distributed now versus back then? And the answer appears to be credibility. This year, 69% of Americans expressed little to no confidence in mass media outlets, including newspapers, TV, and radio. This is the lowest trust levels in news media for nearly 50 years, with only a slight dip to 32% in 2016. The years 2025 and 2016 share few patterns, but one notable correlation is the presidency of Donald Trump. The term fake news gained significant traction during the 2016 presidential election, with a sharp increase in Google searches by 74%. While not a new term, it became prominent during Trump's presidency.
Question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you state
Fake. Don't we love that term, fake? What we've learned about fake over the last little while. Fake news.
Oh, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people.
That would be another example of, as you say, fake news. Sit down.
Just because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I just want to ask you, sir.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
Between 2017 and 2020, Trump referred to journalists and news outlets as fake news approximately 2,000 times.
What could be more fake than CBS and NBC and ABC and CNN?
While Trump popularized the term and claimed credit for coining it in 2017,
I think one of the best names is, I've really started this whole fake news thing.
He was not the originator. The term was first used by Canadian journalist Craig Silverman in 2014 after he discovered a fake story circulating on Facebook. The article published by nationalreport.net falsely claimed that a Texas town had been quarantined due to the Ebola virus. In response, Silverman tweeted, quote, "Fake news site National Report set off a measure of panic by publishing a fake story about an Ebola outbreak. Scumbags." So why all the focus on fake news? In a 2016 Pew Research Center study, 64% of adults said fake news caused confusion over basic facts, and 23% admitted to sharing a fake news story unknowingly or knowingly. Nearly a decade later, those numbers have risen significantly. A 2024 Pew survey conducted during the election found that 3/4 of US adults reported seeing inaccurate news coverage about the election, with 37% encountering this type of information on a regular basis. Half of respondents said they had difficulty determining what was true and what was false in election coverage. And this problem extends beyond social media. According to Pew, 86% of US adults receive news through smartphones, computers, or tablets, and 63% still get their news from TV. It's also important to note that disinformation and misinformation are not just American issues. A Statista study published in 2024 found that more than 50% of internet users in 23 countries rely on social media for the news. However, this percentage varies significantly by the region. In Nigeria, 77% of respondents use social media for news, while in Japan, only 23% do. The Statista study also showed that younger consumers are at a higher risk of exposure to fake news due to their greater social media use. So, then what's driving the rise in fake news? Anthony Ordinato, chair of the Broadcast and Journalism Department at Syracuse University's Newhouse School, attributes it to our reliance on social media as a source of information and trend analysis. A 2016 nationwide survey of news directors by Ordinato revealed that trending content on social media significantly influences how networks choose stories to cover. The survey found that a third of newsrooms had reported misinformation from social media. Furthermore, 40% of newsrooms with social media policies had no procedures for verifying social media content before broadcasting it. Now, misinformation is not a new phenomenon. In ancient Rome, Emperor Augustus used smear campaigns to discredit his rival Mark Antony. The advent of the printing press in 1436 only accelerated the spread of misinformation, culminating in hoaxes like the Great Moon Hoax of 1836, in which the New York Sun published fabricated stories of life on the moon. Despite these long-standing patterns, the challenge today is the speed and reach of information dissemination. Bradley Honan, CEO of Honan Strategy Group, told the Columbia School of Professional Studies,
"There has been disinformation and misinformation as long as there have been humans occupying Earth and talking to one another. What's changed is we now have channels and platforms that allow the velocity to move in ways we have never seen before. And so this information is becoming both pervasive, and one of the reasons it's becoming persuasive is there's so much of it. So I think this is a profoundly important issue.
This is especially true in the age of social media, where content is constantly being pumped out to keep up with the rapidly changing trends. It's easier to scroll through a trending hashtag than to fact-check an article. But this convenience risks undermining honest journalism, leading to delays in correcting errors and fact-checking. And the rise of AI further complicates this issue, as it can produce content at a scale that may not always be accurate or credible. Can we trust the images and stories we see? Is the information that we consume contributing to polarization and extremism? And who is shaping the media that we rely on? With thousands of stories unfolding every day, we often see them through a narrow lens, forgetting there's a wider world beyond our borders.